Greetings viewers, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be tearing down this EJ253 that we pulled from the 2007 Outback SUS 2.5i Limited. The $300 Outback I purchased back in, I believe it was March. Blown head gaskets, of course, super leaky, going to do a full reseal, have the engine overhaul kit from Subaru ordered, have an Ison timing belt kit, water pump ordered, have a new genuine Subaru thermostat, have a new genuine coolant hose, the bypass hose from the water pump is swollen, oil soaked from the leaking oil from the head gasket, external leak. And yeah, just got to get it down, tore apart, clean all this mess up, and get the heads out to the machine shop. I got to wait for that seal kit to get here because the new valve stem seals and valve keepers are in the reseal kit, overhaul kit from Subaru. So I'd like to take that and have the machine shop install that while they're doing whatever else they need to do. Either, checking the valve guides. Haven't looked yet to see if we got any drop valve guides, but we'll do a video on the heads and what you need to look for on the heads before the machine shop, what you need to get the machine shop to do, and what you need to do before installing the heads back on the engine block with the new head gaskets. So without further ado, let's get into it and start tearing this sucker down. So we've done many engine teardowns before. Right off the hop, I'm going to let you know this is not going to be a DIY step-by-step teardown. We've covered this in other videos. I'll try to link them. But we're just going to get into it. So for simplicity, we're just going to take the entire intake manifold up as an assembly. Not too many things you need to do for this. First, you need to, of course, remove the spark plug wires from the spark plugs. They'll come up with the intake manifold. You will need to remove the EGR pipe from the back of the cylinder head and the intake manifold. The jam nut on that is 22 millimeters. So EGR pipe. As I said, the spark plug wires from there, you'll need to disconnect, as far as I can recall, the knock sensor, which you will see gray and black pigtail, just to the right of the throttle body, looking from the front of the car, left of the throttle body where I'm standing behind the engine. Once the knock sensor is disconnected, looking around, there's not terribly much to disconnect. As I said, there is this pipe here you need to remove carefully so you don't split it. Well, it's a hose, not a pipe. And of course there's a milkshake in it from the head gasket issue that goes to our PCV valve. Over here you need to disconnect your pigtails for the active valve control system. So the oil pressure sensor, a little white connector, blue connector, and a black connector. You'll have those as well on the front of the cylinder head over here. Same configuration. Your oxygen sensor connectors need to be disconnected from the bracket or unbolt the bracket from the head. Either way. So got those loose. Crank sensor here. Careful with all these. They get brittle with age and can easily break the lock connectors. Oil pressure sensor here. The coolant temp sensor here from the coolant crossover pipe, like so. What else? These connectors here, as I said, for the active valve lift system. Again, the blue, the white, and the black. As well, over here you have the cam sensor. And that should do it. As far as I recall, it's been a while since I pulled an intake. And then there should be 4 12mm headed bolts on either side of the intake manifold. Remove those and it all should come up. If not, see what you're hung on and disconnect it. Like I said, I'm pretty sure I've covered everything that needs to come loose, but sometimes I forget a thing or two. And that should be us. All loose over here. All loose over here. One thing I just remembered was the bulkhead pigtail connector for the engine harness. You got to take that off of its little bracket back here before I forget that. You just got a little tab underneath and wiggle it right off of there like so, and that should be it. Watch your spark plug wires. Fold them up so you don't get them in the way. I think I've got a bolt not fully removed. All right. Take 3. And there we go. Opposite assembly, set it aside. That's basically it. Just unbolt the heads from here. Nah, I'm joking with you. It's not quite that simple. So we do got a ton of mess here. A lot of this was spilled power steering, as well as some oil puddled up. This head gasket was extremely bad. Well, you can see we got a good mess here on top of the engine block and the cylinder heads to clean up before reassembly. It's going to take a lot of scrubbing and a lot of brake part cleaner. We can't remove the heads until we remove the timing set, of course. So let's get you guys in a little closer there. You can see this glorious mess we've got up here. I'm going to go ahead and remove the 4 10mm headed bolts for the coolant crossover pipe, get that out of the way. We'll swing these breather hoses off. We got our coolant hose to and from the throttle body, knock sensor here, pieces for the positive crankcase ventilation over here, bracketry for our main wiring harness. Might as well go ahead and knock that out, get it out of our way. Should be a 12 here, and I believe a 14 down here. I don't know why Subaru wanted to make me have to change sockets, but they did. So that's that bracket. We'll put our bolts back where they go to keep track of them. Just removing that bracket for easier cleaning of the bell housing area back here on the engine. Go ahead and get the coolant crossover off. Luckily not corroded. Sometimes these will snap off. Usually the O-rings leak and corrode these bolts, but looks like these are all good, thankfully. Set that off to the side as well. Need to clean that up, it's filthy. So aside from there, we got 2 tins back here on the coolant bypass from the water pump where it comes up beside the cylinder head and goes to the heater core. Got some pine needles here. And we'll go ahead and take the tin out for the dipstick, because we will be removing the dipstick and the oil pan on this and resealing the oil pan. So we'll set that off to the side. I'll just keep a hold of these tins for now, put them back where they go once we get this more broken down. So from here, we might as well go ahead and get into the timing set. All in all, for curiosity's sake, let's see if the M18 Compact 1/2 inch will remove the 22mm crank bolt without having to use the holding tool and a breaker bar. And it does. Quite impressive there, Milwaukee. Go ahead and remove the harmonic balancer, crank pulley, whichever you want to call it. Put a crank bolt back into it. Now we can go ahead and remove the 10mm fasteners from the timing cover. Timing covers. That one is corroded away. Broken cover there. Broken cover bolt there. That one's starting to crack. That's a problem that's notorious on these. That didn't sound great. You see this issue a lot on the EJ single overhead cams is this timing cover. As you see here, we got a bolt and the little nut that is cast into this rear cover. It seizes in there, and then when you go to take it loose, it breaks it out. So a lot of times these covers, front and back, are junk when you go to tear down a single overhead cam. We do need to extract this broken off, sawn off crusty tin back here. Let's get some of the crust off of it. It free spun on the impact there. We'll get the camera down here and I'll try some snap-on FDX sockets that are supposed to remove rounded bolts up to like 80% rounded. See if it does the trick in getting this bolt out of here. So here's our damaged rounded bolt right beside the horrible little orange canister of doom. Because you all know how much I love Fram oil filters. So let's grab a 10mm FDX socket and see if it will grab this crusty rounded off fastener and remove it without breaking it off or rounding it off any further. Well, it grabbed it. And look at there, broke it free. Coming out crooked, but the snap-on socket got it. All right, so that bolt was pretty boogered up. I'll put a couple pictures on the screen. It wasn't gonna pick up on the camera, and I didn't want to go grab the macro lens, so I snapped a couple pictures with my cell phone to show you. I'll go ahead and pull the main timing cover off here. Just got to get it around that bracket for the oxygen sensor connectors. Got quite a bit of grease slinging out of this idler over here. NTN Japan tensioner. We've got NSK, Koyo, NSK, and Japan Fuji water pump. Is it a Yamada pump or is it a, yes, a Yamada pump, so it's a newer pump. So all the timing set is original. I don't know if it was replaced at 100,000 miles. The car has about 176,000 miles, I believe. So I should hope it's been replaced already. The belt doesn't look too terribly old. but I'm not seeing any marks or writing on it. Oh, actually, yep, there we go. The belt looks nearly brand new, so it's probably not been too long since this timing set has been replaced. The writing on the belt's near perfect. The belt does look fairly new. So I'm almost tempted to cancel that timing belt water pump and just reuse this stuff because it doesn't look that old, honestly. And I might actually do that. Let's get this all off and take a better look at these components. Yeah, this is fairly brand new, all genuine Subaru. So I am pretty much set on reusing all this stuff. I don't see any issue in it. I mean, as long as I don't see any evidence of oil soaking on the belt, and as long as all of the idlers and everything look good and the tensioner doesn't appear to be leaking. And they got that extra tight. So that tensioner still pretty quiet. I've got a glob of grease behind there. That's interesting. So a little bit of noise in that one. Might just replace a couple of these tensioners and let the rest of the kit roll. Oh yeah, nice and quiet there. Let's get this belt off and try to keep it from touching any oil or contaminants. Looks like we're pretty good on that, but yeah, as you can see here, hopefully, turn the screen around where I can see, you can clearly see Subaru genuine parts, part number, everything's pretty much visible still. So I really wouldn't have any hold up on reusing that belt and these components. You don't have to scrap them every time you pull them apart. And that would save me a little bit of money on this flip. So yeah, even the tensioner is dry around the plunger, good sign. This tensioner is still good. And you know, I'd estimate 20,000 miles or less, maybe 30,000 miles on this setup. But we'll just have to look at the water pump, see how it looks. Of course, while we're in here, at least kind of put a new gasket on it if we don't replace the pump. Looks like our crank seal's been leaking. Possibly, or was leaking. It does look like it's a little bit wet. Yeah, it's wet. Hopefully no one scratched that crankshaft when if they replace that seal, but it is an NSK, so it's probably the factory seal. Hopefully they didn't do any damage there. And set that to the side as well. Go ahead and remove this bottom cover here. And that's pretty much it. Ready to go ahead and remove our cam gears and our cam covers, rocker covers, and get the heads off. All right, let's go ahead and get these cam sprockets off. Oh, pretty simple job when you got the right tools. Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and pull our dipstick out. Sometimes it gets good and stuck in there. All that really holds it in there is 2 O-rings. There we go. Might as well go ahead and remove the water pump. Like I said, even if we reuse it, we're gonna go ahead and put a new gasket on it at the bare minimum. Need a deep well, perhaps. Perhaps not. Hopefully there's not a lot of coolant left in here. I did pull the block drains outside and try to drain that, but you never know. That's why I always put these catch pans under the engine stand, just in case, so we don't make a big mess in the floor. All right. Although, already seeing some water drip. Sometimes these water pumps get stuck on here pretty good. You can normally pull them off by hand. Sometimes you need to take a rubber mallet or something and give them a little peck from behind just to break the seal. Unfortunately, I've lost my rubber mallet and I don't know where it's at, so Monday morning when the Snap-on truck rolls by, I've got to remember to get me a nice soft-face dead blow hammer. We'll just lightly tap it with this ball peen. And there we go. Doesn't take a whole lot. Luckily, we didn't get a big coolant bath. Odd discoloration there inside of the block there, but that is obviously from the oil and water mixing. That's why we got this golden color in here. I really, really hope that so I really, really hope we are not going to have a rod bearing spin after we get this done. The engine wasn't making any noise, but obviously water was in the oil. Let's go ahead and remove this bracket for the tensioner, just to make it easier to clean up. You don't have to remove it. Just so we can clean it and clean behind it a little easier. So that is basically it, as I said, other than going ahead and pulling those rocker covers. And we'll go ahead and start doing that now and make a big old oily mess because the oil will leak out. Pulling the rocker covers, always do. As well, pulling the heads off. So 6 10mm headed bolts, of course. Looks like our rocker cover bolts are going to round out, or at least that one's being stubborn. Nice and crusty. That one rounded. That one rounded. Perfect. Well, we'll test out the FDX socket once again. This thing is going to be one more booger. So the top 3 came out fine. I feel bad for you guys up north because this stuff is a pain when it gets corroded and rusty and gross. Let's grab a ratchet with a little bit more leverage. And let's tap this socket on here. Give it a little bit more of a fighting chance to get a good bite. Still stripping. Let's see if we can try the next one. Still stripping. Not good. Not good. This is gonna be much more fun now. So our snap-on FDX sockets did not do the trick. Hopefully these Irwin turbos will do it. Oh, this is going to be an uphill battle.